Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Brandon Mickelson. I'm the director at the base residency program, and I want to welcome everybody. We are super excited to have friends, family, neighbors, residents, fellow residents here to celebrate this amazing day. This is the 31st graduating class as far as family medicine residents of the Idaho State University Family Medicine Residency. It took a lot of people to get to these graduates here, and many of them are in this room, and I know for many of you this was a day that you never thought would come with some of your troublemaker children and grandchildren and whatever terms you want to use. I know my parents felt that way when it finally happened with me. We are super grateful for all of the institutions that have helped to get us to this point. We really are a three-legged stool in this residency, and you see before you those institutions. This year's graduation is the first time we've done it the way we're doing it. So for many of you, it's all you're going to know, and I think many of you will be grateful we're doing it this way. We've taken a lot out of this graduation, and we've moved it to other events this week. It makes it a little bit busier for us, but it makes it less busy for you. So we don't have as many of these institutions here to speak to you tonight, which again is good and bad for you. We heard from Portneuf Medical Center a couple days ago from their CEO, and we did our intern white coat ceremony, and so we are super grateful for Portneuf Medical Center and their support of the residency in all that they do as our hospital sponsoring institution. Idaho State University is the main sponsoring institution, and Dr. Rex Force, who is our main contact with Idaho State University, was unable to be here tonight, but sends his love and excitement for the graduates. Health West, who is our other institution where we see patients, is here. Uh-oh. Oh, are we good?
At Health West, we strive to empower our patients and communities by proactively providing quality, affordable, patient-centered healthcare. Through your efforts, you've advanced our mission, ensuring our patients receive the compassion and comprehensive care they deserve. Over the last 3 years, your class has provided care for 3,519 patients with 10,695 clinic visits. This includes 432 pediatric visits, 215 OB visits, 552 visits with U.S. veterans, 543 visits with individuals experiencing homelessness, and 3,266 visits for low-income patients. Your dedication and hard work have been truly inspiring. It has been an honor to watch you grow and develop your skills. As you move forward in your careers, we wish you success and fulfillment with your future endeavors. Thank you for your service and dedication to our mission and community. Go Bengals!
Congratulations! Good job! Go get them! Congratulations! You did it!
as I said, I'm super grateful for the three institutions that really we would not be having this event without. And so if you would just join me in a round of applause for ISU, Portneuf Medical Center, and Health West. As I said, we normally do a lot more with our new incoming classes in this event, and so this is the first time that we're not doing the white coat ceremony and some of those things. And so, but we do want to take the time to share with you. June is always an extra exciting, crazy, busy time at the residency as we send off our graduates and bring in our new interns. And so I know we have a few of our interns here with us today, and so as we get to your slides, I'll ask you to stand, but we'll just kind of share with you some of our incoming interns. Some of them, as far as like with psychology, will start here in a couple of weeks. And so that is our first one here that we have here. So Michaela Davison is going to be joining us as our new psychology resident. And then some of you that have been around a long time will recognize that face. So Dr. Dylan Cole, who's a graduate of this program of about, we'll say 10-ish years ago, is going to be coming back and will be a hospitalist fellow with us. Clarice Montecalvo will be joining us as our wilderness medicine fellow here in about a month. Some of you might recognize this handsome devil right there. Dr. Tyler Kunz is going to be joining us as our first sports medicine fellow in about a month. We have a collaborative psychiatry partnership with the University of Utah, where they spend the first 2 years in Utah, and then the last 2, I guess in some situations now soon 3, with the new child combined program. And so these are the new, you'll see the class of 2028. Now, some of you look at those 3 pictures and recognize that that is not totally accurate, because one of our residents actually just transitioned into that program. But those are your new interns that will be coming in the new psychiatry program. Our new pharmacotherapy intern, and I don't know if she's here today. Oh, there she is right there. Thank you. Super excited to have you. And then our family medicine interns, go ahead and stand if you are here, please. I know I saw 1 or 2. The lone representative, you came for the free food, right? Love it, love it. That's a good intern right there. Always take advantage of free food. The other thing that has happened this week, the graduates recognize that they cannot get here without so many of the physicians in the community and the residency, and so every year they give out a number of awards. And so those are there in front of you with the different awards that they gave this week. Again, I know they are super grateful and have spoken about that gratitude as they've given those awards. All righty, let's get into graduation, the real reason you came here. And so I'm going to invite Dr. A.J. Weinhold to come to the podium. She has a couple of things she's going to take care of, and so we have the wilderness medicine area of concentration graduates, and then after she talks about that, she will introduce and present our wilderness medicine fellow. So Dr. A.J. Weinhold.
I wasn't fully aware that I was the first person on the schedule. I didn't manage to look at that. So Colton Phippen and Tyler Kunz are graduating this year as having completed the wilderness medicine area of concentration. And it is worth spending a minute to tell you guys some of the things that they were doing while you weren't watching, because they were busy outside of our clinic and hospital spaces. They were busy teaching. So, okay, one thing you definitely saw. So they were teaching at the summer retreat, they were teaching at the winter retreat. Colton was running up to Idaho Falls and teaching EMTs who work for the Forest Service. Definitely worth saying that they were teaching. They were also ski patrolling. Tyler wins the prize for being the first resident to ever join ski patrol as an intern, which takes a certain degree of insanity. I had to go back 3 years to find that photo. Part of ski patrolling, it is worth mentioning, includes lift evacuation training. So we, of course, have lovely pictures of them belaying others, as well as being belayed out of chairlifts. They were providing medical care at large group participation events like the Scout Mountain Ultras, where we have runners run up to 100 miles in the mountains around Pocatello. They really tear up their feet, can I just say. We took a week together and went down to Snowbird, where they participated in the Wilderness Medical Society's 8th World Congress on Mountain Medicine. They didn't always sit in lecture halls. I think this was Colton taking a rigging for rescue course. They also taught regional EMTs. ISU hosts an emergency medicine conference at which they both were speakers in different years. I only have a picture of Colton because I'm sorry I didn't get to go to Tyler's talk. I was in the hospital. But yes, we're pretty proud of them because outside of our usual walls, they've been pretty busy. Now, my other topic is that this year is the first time we've had a wilderness medicine fellow to talk about. So if you're at all used to our graduation presentations, this is the part of the presentation you've come to expect. Christian Beauregard grew up in Maine with his parents, Jeff and Reagan, his 2 brothers, Patrick, his twin, who is younger by 3 minutes, and Matt. Looking at this picture, Christian could not tell me which one of the brothers he is sitting on his dad's knee. He thinks he's the surprised one on the far right. He went to France his junior year of high school. He graduated from the University of Maine, majoring in biology and minoring in chemistry. He was president of his fraternity. Things progressed as they do. Here's his white coat ceremony at the University of New England College of Osteopathic Medicine. Here's the family at Patrick's graduation from Annapolis. And here's Patrick and Christian looking dapper at a wedding and less like identical twins. Here's a gratuitous dog photo. But at the same time, Christian was also ski racing, fishing, and hiking, and then rock climbing, more rock climbing. He says that doing it above water is better for your landing if you fall. Touring, ice climbing, and apparently handling alligators. He and his brothers started taking heli-skiing trips to Alaska. Fellow medical students accused him of leading a double life when it became evident how well known he was among the ski crowd at Sugarloaf. His fellow residents in New Hampshire were concerned for his mental health when they learned he was driving hours and sleeping in cars in order to ski and climb on the weekends. This is where things get weird, or maybe it was back at the alligator. As Christian was preparing to graduate from family medicine residency in New Hampshire, he applied to be the first fellow in our new Wilderness and Austere Medicine Fellowship. Unsurprising, given his proclivities, he jumped into the unknown. He began his fellowship at the Wilderness Medical Society Summer Conference and 8th World Congress on Wilderness and Mountain Medicine at Snowbird. Then he immediately went up to support medical for the El Vaquero Loco 50K in Wyoming and got to carry a guy with a broken ankle more than a mile on single track, and then turn right around and diagnose a stroke and drive rapidly down a dirt forest road to get the runner to definitive care. I scheduled him on hospital medicine, seeing patients in the free clinic, as well as shifts at Franklin County Hospital in Preston. And he found time to take advantage of a new playground. We sent him to Big Sky to learn how to run a mass participation event for thousands. I sent him to Nepal to treat trekkers in tea houses and villagers in a remote clinic. We sent him to the University of New Mexico to complete his diploma in mountain medicine with their International Mountain Medicine Center. We trained him to join Ski Patrol. And I think he did more shifts than I scheduled. He taught the community avalanche awareness. I dragged him out to Mount Hood to teach medical students. He taught EMTs from across our region. And he taught residents. If you noticed he was missing for the month of May, it's because he was treating altitude sickness perched atop a 2-mile thick ice sheet in the Arctic Circle at Summit Station, an NSF Climate Research Center in Greenland. He came back in time to medical direct the Scout Mountain Ultras, which included logistical planning as well as rocketing up Crestline on an e-bike to go after an ill runner, roughly 3,000 feet of elevation gain over 4 miles in 30 minutes. And waiting until the last runner crossed the finish line at 1 a.m. You can see why we look a little punchy in this picture. I know he still found time to have fun along the way. Christian has a contract to work the emergency department in Penobscot, Maine, but I know that that's not the end of his story. That would be too boring. So Christian, thanks for coming from Maine to find adventure in our mountains and being a great pioneer in our wilderness and austere medicine fellowship.
Actually have you guys face me. Come forward though, because you're right in the, yeah, there we go. Great, thanks.
You made that sound really cool.
Thank you, AJ. I am going to invite Dr. Paul Lacey up here in just a moment to talk about our graduate from the ASOT track. Following Dr. Lacey, Dr. Verena Roberts will come forward and present our psychology graduate. And so Dr. Lacey and then Dr. Roberts.
All right. Well, thank you for the introduction. I unfortunately don't have amazing, beautiful kaleidoscope pictures to show with my presentation like Dr. Weinhold, so I feel a little bit overshadowed here, but I'll do my best. So I just started as faculty in September, and I have taken over the Advanced Surgical Obstetrical Training track. This year we have one graduate from the program, and these are people who have a strong interest to do obstetrical work as a family medicine doctor. Not everybody graduates thinking that they want to do OB. But Jesse's somebody who definitely wants to do OB and also wants to be surgically trained. So his goal is to be able to do C-sections in his practice after graduation. So some of the things that they do, there are presentations that we give multiple times a year where they learn a lot of different things, some of the advanced things that you would do with obstetrical training. Here is Jesse doing some of our C-section simulations. I'm not sure who his partner is, but he's delivering a baby through our mannequin, so they get to do the incision and kind of work through everything there. They also learn about the instruments. So doing a C-section, there's a lot more things to learn. So you can see the rows and rows of different instruments that they have to memorize and know when to use them and how to use them, what they're for. So some additional training. They also do advanced life supports in obstetrics. So they become not only also certified, but also instructors, so they can teach the advanced life support in obstetrics. And part of that, they do additional teaching. This is Jesse giving a presentation and basic life support and obstetrics to some of like EMS crew. He also did international rotations, went to the Philippines and also Namibia to teach also courses there to help some of the midwives handle emergencies during their deliveries because they don't have the resources that we have here. So I think this is that lower picture. I think is that in the Philippines, Jesse? No. And here's some more of his international work, I believe in Namibia, showing people how to do a vacuum extraction, doing some ultrasounds. There's also, they have additional training in doing OB ultrasounds. So some numbers on Jesse, and I don't know if these are all the numbers. If I got these off of New Innovation, so if you didn't log them, they're not up there. So during his 3 years, he did 121 vaginal deliveries, 81 cesareans where he was the first assist, meaning there was another doctor doing the section and he was assisting through the whole process, and did 41 where he was the primary surgeon, meaning he was doing everything and somebody else was assisting him as a surgeon. And future plans for Jesse is he's going to continue with this OB training, going to do an OB fellowship in Mobile, Alabama, because apparently he likes humidity. Yeah. All right. And that's what I have for Jesse. I'm not giving you tribute, just.
Let's see. Yay. Good afternoon, everyone. So I am very happy to introduce Amy Sutherland, my psychology resident who is graduating today. And you know, many of you might know Amy as a very private person, so I'm sure she's super thrilled that she's going to be the spotlight here for the next, hopefully, 5 to 10 minutes. So sorry, Amy, but thank you. So she was kind enough to provide me with some great pictures and some background. So yeah, I can shine that spotlight on her, as she most definitely deserves that to be highlighted here today. So in one of the first pictures here, you can see, yay, little Amy with her mom, in front of the Maroon Bells, I believe. So she came to us from Cambridge, Massachusetts to get back to her roots as she grew up in Colorado and wanted to literally come out to the Wild West because that's kind of, I guess, who we are here on internship. And she really loves the great outdoors Pocatello has to offer and has explored many trails in the area. And really, her love for mountains, as you can see here, started very early. And you also see Amy here on, with one of her mom, with her mom in one of the mountain areas in Colorado. And oops, this thing is moving. This is not good because I'm accident prone. And just to back up for a second, I was going to point out this really pretty dress that her mom made for kindergarten for her. All right, so this is Aspen, Colorado. And Amy is a bit of a chameleon in terms of interests and occupations. So she's been passionate about science fiction and fantasy since childhood and worked in independent bookstores for several years, which she described as a wonderful adventure. Amy's also a current avid reader and probably will go down as the most dedicated therapy book reading intern in my career so far, and I've been doing this for 10 plus years. So she has read, I think, so many books, I can't even count. I don't know, Amy, if you know how many, but it's been a lot. So it's been really, really fun. And she has also applied everything that she's read pretty much. So it's been, I guess, relentless learning in terms of new approaches. So one of Amy's other great pleasures has always been children. Ta-da. So you can see her here. She shared that reading out loud to her own kids and also her assortment of nieces and nephews has been really, really a blessing for her. And it's been one of her favorite ways to spend time with them. And during COVID, her mother-in-law and her actually organized a book club with various children in the family and spent a year reading aloud once a week over Zoom. Here's a few more. And Amy really has the blood of a teacher run through her veins. She thrives teaching children, and in fact, in her early career, she was a 7th grade teacher. To date, she wins the award for Most Beautified Intern Office, and I really should have taken a picture. And the evidence of a past life as a teacher kind of, shined through there because she was really very good at crafts and decorating. You can see kind of some of her projects here. She also has homeschooled her own daughter. And let's see. Make sure I multitask correctly here. So, so yeah, she took up crafting, knitting, sewing, felting, and embroidery as some of her favorite activities. And let's see. There, you can see her daughter. Nope, actually, I went too far. Sorry, I know multitasking is difficult today, apparently. So here, I wanted to highlight this one. One shadow over Amy's life was her father developing and then dying of Alzheimer's disease, as she shared with me. And Amy explained that this experience really highlighted for her the miracle that the human brain is and the devastating consequences that can follow when something really goes wrong. You see her here in a picture with her father towards the end of his life. His face has lost nearly all of his personality and the light is gone from his eyes. The second picture is how Amy prefers to remember him, with a beaming smile and his personality shining through. Ta-da. Amy's daughter, so this is her daughter. I had to kind of look twice because they very much look alike. Amy's daughter majored in cognitive science in college, and Amy spent time helping her out with the early psychology and neuroscience classes. Being homeschooled, she wasn't familiar with the process of basically memorizing a textbook and needed some coaching to start. So Amy was very happy to jump in. And you can see her daughter here at graduation in front of this kind of brain structure. And through this process, Amy found that she was fascinated herself by psychology and made the decision to begin taking courses just to dip a toe in and see if she really liked it. When she had enough prerequisites, she actually applied to the PsyD program at Antioch University in New England. And of course, she was accepted. Amy had found just another passion. And you see her here with her parents, where she graduated from Wellesley College. I think I said that right, with her parents. So this probably looks familiar to many of you. So, grad school kind of took over most of her life at some point. And of course, Amy went through school during some of the COVID years as well. And so you can kind of see there's a lot going on, very, very studious setup. That's her first day of grad school, COVID style over Zoom. And of course, grad school kind of goes by fast. Sometimes it goes slow depending on how you look at it. And here you can see her, kind of getting ready to go on internship. And Amy shared that she really surprised people when she applied to come to the Idaho Psychology Internship Consortium because it's really far from home coming from the East Coast. However, she really wanted to explore the West and return to her roots, and so was happy to come to Idaho. So being from Cambridge, Amy was used to snow, so she knew she'd feel right at home here in Idaho. So there's obviously a lot of snow there. And in fact, Idaho didn't disappoint. Amy noted she has never seen so much powder. She discovered snowshoeing this year and will never forget the magical landscapes near Teutonia. In terms of her next chapter, Amy will be starting a postdoc fellowship at Kendall Psychological Associates and going back to Cambridge, Massachusetts. Amy, you've really been a joy this past year. Your compassion and dedication to your patients has provided a safe and nurturing environment for them and contributed to their growth, and you truly made a difference in some of their lives. Amy, I know you're always very humble about your success, and rather, kind of question yourself and not, really talk about what you do so well. So I really, really wanted to highlight that today. You will continue to make an amazing therapist and psychologist, and I hope you never lose your curiosity. Thank you for being so incredibly easy to supervise too. She is a dream when it comes to administrative tasks, let me tell you that, and you all know, especially our admin will know exactly what that means. Amy, I'm very proud of you for all what you've accomplished over the last year, and I wish you the absolute best for your future. And of course, congratulations to all of you. You're over there, that's why you threw me off. I'm like, where did she go? All right, well, come on up here. And you get your certificate, because you are officially done. We're going to take a picture, right? Which way do you want us?
Back up just a little.
Back up? Don't trip.
But not that far. Away from the projector. Yeah.
Yeah, you get to hold this because it's yours.
Thank you.
All right. Cool.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right, you want to take this? Okay, I'll hold you.
You ready? All right, Caitlin's going to change the slides for me. I was also given specific directions that this should not exceed 5 minutes, so that's what I'm going to try to do. Okay. But good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jordan Farrow, and I'm the Residency Program Director for the Pharmacotherapy Residency Program. It's my absolute pleasure to recognize and honor, our graduating pharmacotherapy resident, Harrison. Now, Harrison's story is one of grit, loyalty, and just enough chaos to keep things interesting. He's also a major NBA, golf, and J.R. Tolkien fan, so hopefully you're able to pick up on some of the references throughout this tribute. Harrison was born in Idaho Falls in 1995 to two loving and supportive parents, Karen and Greg. A few years later, he gained two additional loving and supportive step-parents, John Gregory and Jenny. Harrison grew up in Blackfoot, Idaho, and was raised across two households alongside with what can only be described as a full NBA roster of siblings. I'm talking starters, bench players, coaching staff, you name it. A total of 9 siblings in all. Between full-court sibling rivalries and night games and a number of ER visits that probably should have come with a loyalty punch card, Harrison learned early how to navigate chaos and rivalry with humor, heart, and probably a hidden ice pack. Sports were a huge part of his childhood. He played everything he could get his hands on, but focused on football, basketball, and golf. Honestly, the NBA should have scouted him early, not because he was tall or fast, but because he had elite spacing. Not on the court, just like in general. There were times during residency when we would be having a discussion, and I'd watch Harrison gaze off like Frodo staring into the distance of Mordor, clearly hearing the call, but from another dimension. And yet, somehow, Harrison always came back with the right answer. Harrison graduated from Blackfoot High School in 2014, but just weeks before graduation, he made a spur-of-the-moment decision to join the U.S. Army. He came home to tell his mom, "Surprise, I joined the Army." And he may or may not have delayed his ship-out date with a fabricated wedding excuse, typical cold feet. But he made it through basic and then training as a combat medic in San Antonio. From there, he served on a special Department of Defense team that responded to, your typical average everyday nuclear, chemical, biological, radiological disaster. No big deal. Most of us decide on pharmacy by shadowing at a local Walgreens. Yet Harrison, he had to dodge hypothetical radiation clouds to come to that conclusion. But Harrison came back to ISU and juggled undergraduate responsibilities while continuing his military duties. He got into pharmacy school in 2019 and graduated in 2023. Following this, he joined our residency program, but halfway through pharmacy school, in the middle of his 6th move, yes, there were 9 in total, Harrison's best friend, Caden, introduced him to someone who changed his life, and that someone was Lauren. They were married on October 4, 2024, and are now proud dog parents to a German Shepherd named Roman. Outside of residency, Harrison is a man of very specific tastes. He hates sauces of every kind. All of them. He's not even suspicious of sauce. He's in full sauce rebellion. He also doesn't listen to music, ever. He falls asleep to ASMR. And he only cooks breakfast. Hadn't Caden introduced Harrison to Lauren, I could see Harrison's dating profile reading something like, no sauces, no music, all Middle Earth, all the time. And here we are, celebrating the end of a long, meaningful, and impactful journey. What I admire most out of Harrison is that no matter where his mind wanders, whether that's Middle Earth, a fairway on the golf course, or the NBA Finals, he shows up when it counts. He connects with people, he delivers, he cares deeply. And he always brings integrity, loyalty, and a quiet sense of strength to every space that he's in. Lastly, Harrison, I'd like to leave you with some well wishes from your colleagues. Harrison, you goofy goober. Looking forward to continuing to bully you via epic chat, and I'm glad you're staying close. I'm wishing you nothing but the very best. I'm truly excited to see where your journey takes you and how you'll continue to thrive and make a difference. Harrison, it's truly been a pleasure working alongside you the past year. I'm happy to hear that you'll be staying in the area, and I look forward to still seeing you at Portneuf. As you move forward in your pharmacy career, I wish you nothing but continued success, fulfillment, and happiness. I'm confident you'll accomplish great things and make a difference wherever you go. I'm wishing you all the best for this exciting next chapter. And Harrison, this has been a pleasure getting to know you better this year. I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to get to know you better, and I wish you the best in your next adventure. Harrison, we are incredibly proud of you. You've grown not only into an outstanding clinician, but a trusted teammate, a true original, and honestly, Middle Earth's most likely board-certified pharmacotherapy specialist. And as Gandalf might say, all we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. And Harrison, you've used your time well, and we can't wait to see what you do in your next chapter. Thank you and congratulations. Where do you go next?
So, personally, I think that this should be more of a celebration of the people around me who have helped me get through residency. It wasn't the most smooth process. There's a lot of ups and downs, and so I wanted to personally thank all the family medicine residents, everyone really that was involved in my growth throughout the residency, and is by far the most meaningful part of this entire experience was the relationships we've all developed. So on top of that, I wanted to thank my family, and especially Lauren, for feeding me and keeping me alive and dealing with everything that is residency. So thank you so much. I love you.
Part of what makes our education so amazing and rich here is what you've just seen. We have such a great group with pharmacy and psychology and wilderness medicine that makes the family medicine so rich. Just a real brief couple of comments, and then I will move forward with the tributes for our 8 graduates. I had a really humbling experience with a patient the other day that I really wasn't expecting. This is a patient that I've seen for probably 8 years, has very mild hypertension, see him twice a year, refill his meds, do an annual wellness, and honestly, I don't feel like I've done much for this individual. He, about a month ago, ended up with about 7 bleeds into his brain and was in my office, and he said to me, he said, "Do I still need to keep seeing the neurosurgeon?" And for me, that was a pretty easy answer of course you do. And he started to tear up, and then he looked at me and he said, "Does that mean I can't keep seeing you anymore?" And it was incredibly humbling for me to watch this man scared to death that the fact that he needed to keep seeing the neurosurgeon was going to mean that he was no longer going to be able to see me as his primary care physician. I reassured him that I was happy to keep taking care of him, but he needed to also see the brain surgeon. He kind of breathed a sigh of relief, and then we moved on with the visit. And I've thought about that over and over because I don't think we truly understand the way that our patients often look at us. And one of the reasons I love what I do as a director is I continually remind myself about the indirect lives I get to touch. These 8 graduates are going to go out and take care of 2,000 to 4,000 patients. And each one of those patients is a son or a daughter or a mother or a father or a grandma or grandpa with lots and lots and lots of other lives that look to them and rely on them. And so really what we're looking with these 8 might be 100,000 lives that are going to be dramatically touched over the next few years. And that's what I like to remind myself, and that's why I do, and the faculty that are going to come give these tributes do what we do. What an amazing opportunity to change those lives. And so graduates, we are super excited for you. But again, hopefully you'll remember my story and keep yourself humble and remember those patients really do look up to you and need you as their primary care physician. So we are going to have tributes, and I don't need to introduce each of those. And so Dr. Fenstermaker is going to be our first one, and then after that we'll have Dr. Nielsen, Dr. Reagan, Dr. Bergston, Dr. Wernick, Dr. Jensen, and then Dr. Vandegreen. After Dr. Vandegreen, I will invite Dr. A.J. Weinhold to come forward if she wants to make any brief remarks before we have Dr. Baker graduate, as she's the program director for the Rural Training Program. And then I'll make some brief concluding remarks there at the end. And so, Dr. Fenstermaker.
Dr. Cody Cunningham, where are you? Front and center. Shocking. Are you nervous for this? Okay, good. Cody's pretty straight-laced, if you know him, and so I was complaining to Dr. Weinhold the other day while we were precepting, and I said, Cody's basically unroastable. Like, I don't really know what to, do for him. And she's like, yeah. And that kind of felt like a personal attack on my comedic skills, and so I thought that I'd power through. She said, well, maybe you'll actually have to say something sweet and meaningful. I scoffed. We'll find something. So Cody hails from the exotic land of Blackfoot, Idaho, the cultural hub of southeast Idaho where the potatoes are plentiful and the entertainment options are limited. He's the youngest child of Dale and Debbie Cunningham and grew up with 2 older sisters. In high school, Cody dabbled in just about everything: basketball, track, cross country, competitive cabinet making, yes, apparently that's a thing, and competitive government, which I assume is like debate, but with more arguing and less logic. But by his senior year, he figured out the ultimate life hack, and that was just don't go to class. And he had this agreement with his teachers, as long as he kept his grades up, the teachers let him do whatever he wanted, and so he basically just didn't go to class all year. And that's what he did. So his senior year basically ended up being one long Ferris Bueller montage. And oddly enough, we were supplied with photographs from his senior year escapades. Cody began dating Carissa when he was a freshman. It went great for about 5 minutes when Carissa decided wisely to upgrade. Ultimately, that upgrade turned out to be a glitch, but despite Cody's persistent efforts, she wouldn't take him back. And eventually realizing that the dating pool in Blackfoot was about as deep as a kiddie pool, she caved. Their saga didn't end there. Cody left for a 24-month church mission spanning South Dakota, North Dakota, parts of Wyoming, and parts of Minnesota. And Carissa, being an actual saint, supported him the whole way until month 18, when, with 6 months left, he hit her with a "let's just be friends" via email. Smooth. She did the only logical thing, and she ghosted him. But then, for reasons we may never comprehend, she still showed up at the airport when he returned. Their passionate reunion, Cody greeted her with a firm handshake. Somehow that did the trick, and at a shockingly quick pace, the handshake quickly escalated to marriage 3 months later. Romance isn't dead, people, it's just a little awkward. Fast forward to today, and they have 4 adorable kids: Kaysen, who's 8 years old, Addie, who is 6, Lucy, who is 3, and Ledger, who is almost 2. As a family, they enjoy wholesome activities like camping, paddleboarding, setting things ablaze in the backyard, and sitting around a nice fire. Cody attended undergrad at BYU, Idaho, and then went to medical school in Yakima, Washington, where I assume he honed the fine art of being just enough of a nerd to make knife forging cool. Yes, he has purchased a forge and an anvil and makes knives now, and apparently CrossFit wasn't quite intense enough for him. At home, Cody is basically the crowned prince. Carissa has dubbed him the most popular person in the house. And somehow, he's tricked her into baking him fresh cookies every single night. Every night. I've heard of emotional support animals, but emotional support baked goods, I'm not quite sure about. Cody is nothing if not committed. Once he gets into something, he is all in. Take golf, for example. He played once, he loved it, he came home and he bought a new set of golf clubs. 2 seasons later, he cycled through more sets of irons than a PGA pro. Carissa, just FYI, he's already eyeing a new set of forged Mizuno irons. You've been warned. It's okay, because Mizuno irons bring pure joy. Professionally, Cody is super efficient. He's been able to take great care of patients efficiently. He gets his notes done in a very timely manner. And this was particularly at the latter part of his residency. Down the stretch, I was impressed by his ability and his drive to provide such good care and really efficiently. Turns out, though, his motives were influenced by external forces, and he just needed to make his 9:45 tea time. And when Cody is not dominating the hospital or the golf course, he's in a bubble bath. No, really. Scented bath salts, toy boat, the whole 9 yards. If you're ever wondering where he is, check the tub. I'm not kidding. Cody quickly figured out that outpatient clinic life wasn't for him. Carissa confirmed this and said he gets grumpy on clinic days. But stick him in the hospital and he's beaming. He's calming codes, he's great with families, he effectively juggles 3 admissions at once. But put a 5-foot downhill putt in front of him and he crumbles like one of his nightly baked goods. Cody also has a deep, passionate love for 90s country music. We're talking full-blown Garth Brooks sing-alongs, spontaneous Shania Twain dance breaks. He can line dance with the best of them, which is impressive considering his overall lack of rhythm in other areas of his life. Strangely though, despite his country heart, I've yet to see him show up on the golf course in cowboy boots and scrubs. But don't worry, we'll leave that particular fashion disaster to Braden Leiby. He was recently recognized by his peers with an award for excellence in education and teaching. He's a stellar hospitalist, a gifted teacher, and incredibly calm and collected under pressure. Except again, golf. He's not so calm there, especially when he slices across 2 separate fairways. All right, this image may be AI generated, but I've legit seen this look on his face on the golf course. Really, in all seriousness though, given the fact that he's only been golfing 2 years, he really is quite good. He doesn't give himself enough credit, and he can hit the ball a mile. When I asked Cody what he wanted me to say today, he said, "Tell them I'm the best resident you've ever worked with and the most handsome man you've ever seen." His words. But honestly, it's hard to argue. He's been fantastic, and we're lucky to have him joining the residency faculty as a hospitalist. Dr. Cunningham, it's been great to see you develop into a very gifted physician, and I'm honored to be able to continue to work with you.
I'm just going to take a couple seconds really quick. A lot's been on my mind this week. We've done a lot of celebrations this week and thinking about those that have contributed to our education. Those kind of unsung heroes that I want to say thank you to are my fellow residents. You've supported me at my lowest times, celebrated with me with the good times, and been a second family to me, so thank you. And I especially want to say thank you to my family that supported me from home. The woman behind the curtain that you've seen a few pictures of, who's here tonight, who's been ultimately supportive in every aspect, not just the cookies, but more than that, who's been there for me all along the way. I want to have her come up so we can give her a round of applause too, please, even though she'll hate it.
All right. Well, I'm very honored to speak a little bit about Marie Elwood today. We say it every year. We work with these great people for 3 years, and then as they graduate, we learn what truly amazing, accomplished people they are before they even started residency. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Marie, maybe some things that you didn't know. If I were to title my talk today, I would call it Perseverance in Overcoming Challenges. Marie is a person who doesn't give up, and once she sets her mind to something, she goes all in. First, a little bit about Marie's early years. She was born in Wyoming and grew up in Elko, Nevada. She has 6 sisters and 2 brothers. She's the second oldest. She recalls having a happy childhood. She was blessed to have parents who loved to learn and taught her and her siblings that they could do anything if they worked hard. Another thing that she recalls, she says, is un gran regalo de su mamá. Her mom spoke Spanish, and she heard her speak Spanish growing up, and Marie picked that up on her own, not only to speak it, but to write it as well. Her parents taught her to love and serve others. They taught her that everyone is important and that everyone is God's child. She excelled in school as growing up, both in the sciences and in the arts. In the 6th and 8th grades, she won the geography bee, the spelling bee, and math count competitions. She had some of her writings published. In the early stages of her education, Marie had a way of amazing educators by doing such things as inventing her own way of solving math problems. One of her elementary teachers stood in awe of Marie's ability to absorb knowledge easily and then understand and apply it so completely. In the teacher's word, Maria said she just seemed to pull it out of the air. In high school, she was in the all-state choir all 3 years that she attended. One year, they printed her name wrong in the program as second soprano Mario Elwood. So I guess it's not too late to nickname her Mario. During high school, she worked, first as a gymnastics teacher, and then at a medical clinic in the medical records department. And then at age 14 is when she first decided that she wanted to become a doctor. And here we are today. The University of Southern California headhunted her in high school based on her test scores and offered her a full ride scholarship if she would matriculate there instead of finishing high school. So she did just that. After her junior year, she headed to Los Angeles. She notes that she struggled in college. After her first year, she had a set of twins. She said becoming a teen mom was a way to make her grow up fast. It was an interesting time for her to live through that part of her life, she said. She saw the same people who celebrated her the previous month for being a teen genius with a nearly perfect SAT score, now scoring her as a pariah for being a pregnant teenager. People she didn't know would glare at her at the grocery store, and it really was a hard time. She said she made some questionable life choices by marrying her twin's dad. Fortunately, he was an abusive person with a lot of unhealed trauma. She ended up being divorced at the age of 21 and a set of toddlers on her own. She finished college with a shattered self-esteem and an unimpressive GPA. It took her 10 years of therapy and life searching to heal from that experience. She then moved to Oregon and worked at Oregon Health Sciences University. In addition to doing some research, she became a CNA and did that for 16 years until medical school. She's also worked as a chocolatier, a housekeeper, a convenience store clerk, a home health aide, a phlebotomist, and an editor for a Korean publishing company, although she doesn't speak Korean, whatever it takes. She decided to get a master's degree when she was single and not interested in dating, and she studied entomology because she's always had an interest in invertebrates. Her dad notes that throughout her life, even in very early childhood, Marie has had an intense interest in the natural world and found delight in absorbing lots of knowledge about all sorts of things. One of his favorite memories about Marie is catching grasshoppers and carefully pulling them apart to see what made them tick. Her entomology degree is from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. If you're ever in Lincoln, some of the bumblebees that she gathered for her master's project are on display in the museum there. When her twins, Madeline and Michelle, were in kindergarten, she met a soccer player named Trent Hendricks from Montana. They met at a dodgeball game, and they eloped a couple of months later. She liked Trent because he is up for any adventure, said that he's a very humorous person and has kept her laughing all these years, about 20 years. They moved back to Montana, have been blessed with 5 more amazing kids together: Jude, Cassie, Anna, Leah, and Nate. Speaking of humorous, it was a little bit hard to find some dirt on Marie, and I promised I wouldn't do too much, but I had to share a fun little story that I found at our residency retreat last weekend. Although Marie is a very intelligent person with many accomplishments in her life, occasionally things will slip past her. Here on the screen is what most of us know as packing peanuts. One time, and this was an adult, not as a kid, some friend told her that these were edible. And so she ate some, and upon immediately eating them, they turned into toxic goo in her mouth. She still tried to eat it, and unfortunately had some intense gastrointestinal symptoms. But luckily for us, everything turned out in the end. But please keep packaging peanuts out of the reach of Marie, please. So now back on to some more positive memories. She ended up getting a job doing some FDA clinical research. She was running phase 2, 3, and 4 clinical drug trials. Intellectually, this was very a stimulating job for Marie. She loved working with patients. She worked on the first GLP-1 phase 3 study, which was very exciting because even though it was a blinded study, she could tell who was on the treatment arm in the last couple of months because people started losing weight. She worked with a physician named Dr. Michael Hagan. They would discuss lots of lab values each day and all the science. And he finally sat her down one day and told her she needed to apply to medical school. She remembers laughing at the idea. She told him, "I'm too old." And he told her that he had been a non-traditional student as well. She said, "Well, I have a bunch of kids." And he said that he had kids in medical school too. And so all of her objections fell on some deaf ears. She thought about medical school, and it made sense to her. She had been thinking about the physician shortage in Montana and had been considering going back to school for a PhD. She decided to apply to medical school and got in her first choice at the University of Washington as part of the Montana WWAMI program. When she started medical school, her 7 kids ranged in age from age 3 to 19, and she was 39. She loves being a mom and knew that she would figure out how to be both a mom and a successful medical student. She shares that seeing her babies grow into amazing people has been the pleasure of her life. After being accepted into the University of Washington, she called her father and told her that she had applied and been accepted. He knew that this was what she was destined for since the age of 14. It was happening. She loved medical school. She's proud that she started the domestic violence survivor group at UW. She also completed the targeted rural and underserved track and the Native American healthcare track. She worked on 3 different reservations in Montana. The COVID epidemic, of course, was an interesting and a challenging time to do her clinicals, most of which were in Seattle. Her favorite memories from medical school include testifying at the Montana legislature about the Medicaid expansion and bringing a dying matriarch outside into the snow for her traditional family send-off, since they could not allow visitors in the hospital. Next came residency. ISU Family Medicine was her first choice for residency, and she notes that she's loved her time during residency training. She especially loves working at the free clinic and delivering babies. She said, "We have the best job in the world because the learning never stops." As residency concludes, Marie will be returning to Montana as a community physician in Hardin, working at a federally qualified health center and a critical access hospital. This is where she did her longitudinal rural site training in medical school. She's excited about this because this is what she set out to do in the beginning, help the shortage of physicians in Montana. One aspect of learning, and not just academically, that her dad has appreciated and admired is Marie's determination to seek out real truth and real ethics for herself on her own. She has never been one to simply accept opinions from others. This has resulted in some bumps and bruises along the way, but once she has convinced herself of the correctness of an idea or principle, she is rock solid in following and defending it. Needless to say, her family is so proud of her for all of her accomplishments. In conclusion, Marie humbly wrote, for a teen mom who didn't really finish high school, I think I've turned out okay. Marie, I think I can speak for everyone here that you have turned out much more than just okay. You've been an exceptional and bright person since you were a young girl and have persevered throughout hardships and never given up when challenges have been placed in your path. You're an example and a role model to us and your family and any future aspiring physicians. We wish you the very best in Hardin. If you want to please come up, Marie. While she's coming up, I have a small gift. These are 2 edible forms of peanuts for her.
Whoa, there's a lot of people here. I just wanted to take a few moments. When I started medical school, I told my kids, I said, Mom got into medical school, but we are going to medical school. And there has been a lot of sacrifice on the part of my family to get me to where I am today. So thank you very much. I have this bouquet. It's for all of my family, and I'll just give it to them at the table so they don't all have to come up. But thanks.
Oh, Tyler. If you'd wanted nice things said about you, you would have asked Dr. That last one who just talked. It's truly an honor to be able to give Tyler's graduation tribute. We're blessed, as Brandon said, at ISU to have so many wonderful people in our residency program. In fact, that was one of my concerns when Tyler asked me if I would do his tribute. I thought, I don't know about that, because you don't seem to me that you've got enough rough edges, and I need a few rough edges to kind of get some traction on so that I can do this thing justice. And then Caitlin came to the rescue, and before I knew it, I had a few rough edges, and so here we go. What was Tyler thinking anyway, even, asking me? He had a lot of options among the faculty. There are really nice people on the faculty. He knows, he has worked with me for 3 years. He knows that sarcasm and bile ooze from my very pores. Southerners have an expression for somebody like me: weaned on a pickle. Nevertheless, here we are. I'd like to welcome Tyler's family, his wife Caitlin and their 3 sons, Dieter, Reddick, and Talmadge, Mom and Dad, Neil and Lana, and sisters Heidi and Jody. Residency graduation is indeed a big deal. It takes years of sacrifice, and it's right that we celebrate. It's also right that we pause to reflect a minute on who we are launching forth into the world. In Tyler's case, that's more of a gentle shuffle down the hall because he's going to be joining Dr. Vandergreen in a one-year sports medicine fellowship here imminently. You can see from the slideshow that will be going on in the background, and I have trouble, walking and chewing gum at the same time, so Caitlin is going to be advancing the slides as I'm talking so that you all can enjoy the pictures. Let's take a peek behind the curtain, first starting with the broad strokes. Grew up in St. Anthony, Idaho, LDS Mission, New York City, college, BYU-I, Rexburg, med school, Rocky Vista in southern Utah, family medicine residency, ISU Pocatello, and soon, as we mentioned, sports medicine fellowship. During his time at ISU, Tyler has served as chief resident, juggling the demands of clinical training while being the liaison person between the residents and faculty members, as fractious a group as there ever was. Basically, that's 2 full-time jobs, 1 measly paycheck, and a lot of aggravation, handled with noble equanimity by this young man over here in the corner. Now some lesser-known Tyler factoids. Tyler's the youngest of 8 children, and actually is the youngest by 8 years. His next oldest sibling is 8 years older than he. Now, John Finstermaker would disagree with this, but there's a lot of research on youngest kids in big families, and the words entitled, spoiled, and probation officers come up pretty often. As the de facto only child, Tyler was royalty, St. Anthony's version of a Saudi princeling. Did he do the dishes? No. Did he do the laundry? No. Did he make his own bed, littered as it was with feathers? No, he did not, and we'll get to the feathers in a minute. We're not even sure he did his own homework. We do know that he was chronically late for school because he would deliberately miss the bus. He would hide in the bushes until the bus passed, and then he would go in and with downcast eyes tell Mom that he had missed the bus yet again, leaving it to Mom, AKA the chief enabler, to write the school note. Picture this scene of domestic tranquility. The princeling, lounging in front of Wheel of Fortune, snacking on nuts and dates, Dad fanning him with palm fronds, Mom scurrying back and forth to the kitchen, bearing treats and great praise. Is it any wonder that he erroneously always assumed that he was the favorite child? Tyler is a dyed-in-the-wool Idahoan. As he got older and started dating, he made it very clear to any of his prospects that he had no intention of ever living anywhere else other than Idaho. I believe it was on his first date with Caitlin that he queried her and said, Caitlin, if you don't plan to stay in Idaho, this will probably be our first and only date. Rough edges, anyone? Well, 3.5, or by my reckoning, 2/3 kids later, and Caitlin's still here, and it's safe to say that that second date worked out okay. It's possible that Tyler's even allergic to other places. Early on, they went to visit Caitlin's family down in southern Utah. They'd barely arrived when Tyler promptly broke out in hives, took a Benadryl, and went to sleep it off in the guest room. During the night, in a drug-induced stupor, he somehow managed to sleepwalk into his future in-law's bed. Not the bedroom, the bed. Yep, crawled right in. Now that is a great first impression. Now, among his many admirable traits, Tyler is, I'm told, an excellent cook. Among his less admirable traits, he's a culinary control freak. Even in your kitchen, invited or not, he will tweak your recipe according to his own tastes. His superior tastes, I might add. Bless his heart, Tyler is such a sweet guy that he doesn't realize that his hosts want to throat punch him. And now this. This is a feather pillow. We know that meditation, yoga, deep breathing exercises, benzos, are well-established methods of anxiety management. Tyler's own personal Xanax, however, is pulling feathers methodically, rhythmically, repeatedly from pillows. Yes, friends, Tyler Kunz, world-class feather plucker. Like many neuroses, it started in childhood. His parents would hide the pillows. Tyler would find them and stash the evidence in his nightstand. The rest of us were stashing Playboys. He is stashing feathers. Thinking wisely that this could be a matrimonial showstopper, Lana and Neil decided, well, we better just not say anything to Caitlin about this. And they didn't. And so it wasn't until after they had gotten married that Caitlin discovered this little quirk of Tyler's. Sure enough, not long after they wed, she woke up and looked at his side of the bed and thought a chicken had exploded. Tyler, it has truly been such a pleasure working with you these past 3 years. You are smart and compassionate, and you're devoted to your patients and to your family. We're thrilled to be able to keep you here for another year. I couldn't find a feather pillow anywhere in Pocatello. They don't make them anymore. I mean, I looked everywhere. I was driving all over town the other day trying to find a feather pillow. So this came from my house, gently worn. I did run it through the clothes dryer to try to get some of the, Reagan stench off it, so hopefully it's not too bad. Congratulations, Tyler, you and Caitlin and your family, and best wishes to all of you. Thanks. This is your wilderness medicine certificate, and this is the long-awaited diploma. Here, we need a picture. How come I'm always the short one?
I got it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Reagan, and thank all of you for being a huge support system, all of the behind-the-scenes staff, Caitlin and Casey and Jill. Everyone has just made this so special, and they have worked very hard keeping us on track, and through countless emails that Caitlin has responded to for me, and made this all possible. And I do want to thank my beautiful wife for having been the silent partner in this and helping behind the scenes throughout 3 very rough years in residency and 4 years in medical school and beyond. Just so grateful for her. She is quite pregnant and she did not want to come up, so I will be taking those flowers to her as well. But and if you're looking for a feather pillow, Target, or not Target, TJ Maxx has them. I've gotten one recently, so.
I have the privilege of paying a tribute to Jesse. As you can see, I think there's a pretty similar resemblance. We're both bald, both have glasses, and both extremely attractive. I do, before I start, just because I know how rigorous this journey can be, I want to congratulate Brooklyn as well, because without her, I know Jesse would not be here. But I remember the very first impression I had of Jesse was, I thought he was quiet, reserved, just kind of worked hard and hard to make fun of, honestly. And the more I got to know Jesse, the more he opened up. But also, after talking to his wife, I know that he's kind of a different person at home. One of the things that I guess wasn't really a surprise was on his free time, he can often be heard yelling with or at his brother over the phone or I guess through their gaming device when they play Fortnite. And it's hard for me to imagine Jesse doing that just based off his personality at work, but I guess when his ranking drops or if he doesn't beat his brother, I guess they get into a pretty good arguing match. But Nathan Hammer probably understands that too when he plays, is what I heard from Emma at least. One of the things that Jesse also likes to do on his free time before residency was he became a pretty good woods craftsman. I guess he could make some really good woodwork, which I thought was really cool. Another thing that Jesse likes to do still on his free time, which I think is pretty cool, is Dungeons and Dragons. Him and his wife got into that, and I know that's how they like to spend a lot of their free time. But probably the thing that impresses me most about Jesse is, I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 years ago, but he was doing a C-section with one of my partners, and he was extremely interested in OB. And I think, from my understanding, everything was going really well until Jesse leaned over and his glasses fell into the patient's abdomen. And I wasn't there when it happened, but I did show up afterwards. And it was a pretty big deal, I remember, with the nurses, with my partner. And I remember I ran into Jesse, and he seemed pretty unfazed by it. I know for me, I probably would have wanted to crawl under a rock and hide my face for a while, but Jesse persevered. And it's funny, I was talking to, I think it was Michelle, who was a scrub tech. And I think she might still be in therapy over that, but. Jesse is the definition of cool, calm, and collected. I don't see him get riled up, ever. And as I was thinking about how I could honor Jesse, I thought of an experience that I actually wasn't there for, but it was with a patient of mine. And I was on call, I think it was a little over a year ago. Jesse probably doesn't even remember this. But I got a phone call, middle of the night. One of my patients showed up to the hospital, and she was completely dilated. And she didn't have an epidural, obviously. And I remember, I don't remember if it was Jesse or one of the nurses calling me saying, hey, you need to come here. And I probably said, oh, I probably won't make it, but I'll try. And so I rushed my way to the hospital, and I missed it. But the delivery went just fine. Patient did well, baby did good, and I congratulated the patient, didn't really think much of it until I saw her at her postpartum visit. And I was talking to her, and she had reminded me that I had missed her delivery. And I asked her, oh, well, how was your experience? And she said, well, the resident, Dr. Noe, was fantastic. She was really nervous, really scared, and Dr. Noe could see that she was a little anxious and nervous. And she said that he grabbed her hand and looked her in the eyes and said, everything's going to be okay. You're going to do just fine. And after that, her attitude calmed. She delivered her baby. But for her at that moment in time, that was extremely important. And she really appreciated how calm Jesse was and the comfort that he gave her. And I think moving forward, that is Jesse. He's going to be compassionate with his patients. He's going to be empathetic. And he knows how to help people feel calm. Even now, if I have a rough delivery or C-section, sometimes I'll be like, Jesse, she's going to be good, right? And he's like, yeah, she'll be good. I asked a couple of my partners for their remarks about Jesse because I know he'd appreciate this. But I talked to Dr. Jones, and for those of you who know Dr. Jones, he does not ever let residents really participate in C-sections. They can help assist him, but he doesn't really let them do much. And I remember, I think it was a few months ago, Jesse told me, hey, Dr. Jones let me do some stuff. And when I talked to Dr. Jones about his thoughts on Jesse, he said, Jesse is one of the only residents I have ever let do C-sections. He naturally has surgical hands and one of the most competent residents I have ever worked with. He should have gone into OBGYN. I asked another one of my partners, Dr. Runkles, what her thoughts were, and she said, Jesse is one of my favorites. He is so kind to our patients, and he will thrive in fellowship. He is naturally gifted with surgery and one of the most humble people I've ever met. He's going to go very far in life. I'm really sad Jesse's leaving us. He has a passion for OBGYN. I don't get to see him work on other floors, but he is one of the most humble and kind people you'll ever meet. He works hard. He studies. He really does have great surgical hands. And moving forward, he's going to have a lot of success. One of the things I've learned with my own experience is remember the failures as well, because you will have failures, and learn from them, grow from them. But when they happen, don't let them define you, and remember that we've all been through them. But congratulations, Jesse. I hope that you and Brooklyn have got ready to move on to your next adventure in Alabama. But we wish you the best, and congratulations.
I just want to say a few words and kind of voice the same things that others have said. A lot of us wouldn't be here without the people in our lives, specifically our family. And I really wanted to say thank you to my fellow residents. There's something special about the residency here at ISU. I think it's the culture that we have and the willingness that everybody has to help one another out and to be there for each other. We've all been through medical school and seen other places and been through rotations where that's not the case, and so I think it's a very special place that we have here. We got great people working for the residency, and they make things so easy and so much better. And I'm sorry to administrative staff for being so late on lots of things. But I'd like to thank my family, my wife, and my kids. I love them very much, and they've done so much to help me through this. And I'd love to thank all of the doctors that we work with, especially on L&D, and of course the nurses there. I wouldn't be where I am without them. They're so great, and I love them very much. But thank you.
All right. It's my privilege to harass Dr. Colton Phippen tonight. Dr. Phippen is accompanied here tonight by his parents, Cheryl and Reggie, who have helped shape him into the fine specimen that he is today. Thank you again for sharing your amazing son with us. Dr. Phippen, as many of you know, is characteristically prideful and always bragging about himself. No, not really. It's actually like pulling fingernails to try to get him to talk about himself. And so luckily, his mother gave me the goods so I can thoroughly embarrass him tonight by telling you all how wonderful he is. He'll love that. I had the opportunity, I began to scratch the surface of who is the Colton Phippen during our time in the Philippines together, where he and Jessie Noe excelled in teaching advanced obstetrical life support skills to doctors across rural areas. Colton and Jessie traveled to various locations teaching, learning, and representing ISU family medicine with distinction. However, it wasn't until I was preparing for tonight that I really came to understand the essence of Colton Phippen. So let me share some essence of Phippen with you. He was born in California and spent his early years in Alameda and Coronado before his family traded the beach for the mountains, moving to Holiday, Utah. Growing up with 3 brothers, including a set of twins, Colton quickly learned the art of negotiation, teamwork, and occasional strategic retreat, skills that have been useful to Colton in the world of medicine. Unfortunately, he did not escape the peripubescent awkwardness that most adolescents suffer from. And despite some tragic bowl-style haircuts, Colton's athletic prowess evolved to legendary status from baseball, soccer, and football to wrestling and even rugby. He tried it all and dominated it all. As a youth, Colton developed a fascination with learning different countries, starting with China and Taiwan, and eventually landing on Scotland. His dedication was so complete that he donned a Scottish kilt for his 6th grade report on Scotland, and I'm sure his resemblance to a mini William Wallace from Braveheart helped his grade. As a Boy Scout and eventually an Eagle Scout, Colton embraced the great outdoors, even surviving a truck roll in the high Uinta Mountains with a smile and that was so cool attitude. He became a certified open water scuba diver at age 14 and later won a sailing race on Bear Lake despite being whipped around the boat on a wire while flying the hole, whatever that means, demonstrating his ability that he can handle any storm that life throws his way. Colton loves learning new languages, and he started with Spanish in Argentina, and then since then Portuguese and French and German have soon followed. Lately, he's also been learning different dialects of Filipino. So, what does a kilt-wearing, super-athletic, boat-sailing, scuba diving, horse-riding, multilingual, adventure-seeking, laugh-in-the-face-of-danger, water-loving, long-hair-flowing Riz Master do next? You lead a Scottish army against King Edward I, of course. Or you become a movie star, which is what Colton elected to do. You may not know this, but Colton's debut on the silver screen was a role in the movie Forever Strong, which was about his legendary rugby coach, Larry Gelwicks. Here is Colton with his flowing hair and his stoic face as he stars beside the main character. Of all the adventures I've talked about, it was rugby that truly captured his heart, playing for Highland Rugby Team Playing for the Highland rugby team in Utah, he traveled to national championships, including a memorable rainy day at Dartmouth University, foreshadowing his future hospice fellowship destination as if the universe was giving him a sneak peek into his future. Now that he's graduating, Colton can hopefully rekindle some of his passions like climbing. I have no doubt he'll be scaling new heights in both his professional and his personal life. Family is another passion of Colton's. Whether exploring Mayan ruins or snow skiing with his father, his adventures with family have shaped the well-rounded, compassionate, and dedicated doctor we see today. Colton's love for animals is well known, which has helped him develop strong empathy that will serve him well throughout his career as a hospice doctor. Colton's travels have taken him around the world, from Europe to the Philippines, where he's met incredible people and experienced diverse cultures. With Madeline by his side, he's ready to start the next chapter of life in New England, filled with love and laughter and hopefully his passion for music and some Grateful Dead concerts. Colton, as you move on to Dartmouth to your fellowship, know that we are incredibly proud of you and we can't wait to see what the future holds. I'm sure your fearless spirit and unwavering determination will help you battle through fellowship to victory. So please keep this statue of William Wallace as a reminder to you to use your brave heart and your kilt and your leadership to fight for those who are unable to fight for themselves. Congratulations, Dr. Phippen, and I hope your adventures will continue to inspire all of us.
This is an impromptu thank you. I wish I would have prepared something, but let me bust out now. That's from the bathroom. But yeah, just as the other residents so far have echoed, that it's been quite the process to get to this stand, and couldn't have done it without family and friends. And if I were to do it all over again, I wouldn't have chosen a different place. This has really been such a really awesome and amazing residency, an incredible group of people with the faculty, the administration, the co-residents. It's been so great, and I love them all, and it's been so fun to get to know them and hang out with them and just spend time with these wonderful people. But yeah, thanks to my family, and thanks Madeline, and I'll give you guys some flowers. You don't have to come up, but appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Thank you.
All right, hello. I am excited about this. So I've done this for a few years in the past, and every year we learn about a medical condition. So we are going to learn about a medical condition, and not only that, we're going to treat it. So go ahead and go to the next slide. So I want you to focus on this picture. Hyperemesis gravidarum is a rare but severe complication of pregnancy characterized by unrelenting nausea, frequent vomiting, dehydration, electrolyte imbalance, and significant weight loss. It's exhausting, relentless, and leaves lasting scars, physically and emotionally. Now, if that isn't the perfect metaphor for Darya's life journey, I don't know what is. Together, we're going to get her appropriately diagnosed, we're going to get her treated, and we're going to get her discharged once and for all. All right. So they say it's better to shoot for the stars and fall a little short and land on the moon than to aim for a pile of crap and hit it dead on. That quote felt like the perfect summary for Darya, a woman who spent her life chasing impossible things and somehow still landed above them. As I've said before, I never let the facts ruin a good story, so don't count on it. Now, before we begin the tribute/medical case report, I'd like to note that I've spoken with several of Darya's friends and family. She has amazing support. She is accompanied here by Brian, her father, Lele, her mother, and her sweet daughter, Zoya. In the Zoom universe, I won't be able to name everyone. Thanks to Asale, Sue, and Ryan for some extra dirt on Darya. She told me she's embarrassed and that I probably know way too much dirt on her now. I'm going to preserve some of her dignity today, some. But let's be honest, she used to eat raw onions like apples, used to use study forts to learn, and talks to herself like a schizophrenic psycho. The dignity baseline is pretty low to start. So let's begin our case study, hyperemesis Daryarum, a rare, severe, and inspirational form of human resilience that involves 9 months of vomiting and a lifetime of refusing to quit. So our initial presentation and diagnosis. Darya was raised near Idaho Peak, I think these facts are all true, which, yes, is a real mountain in British Columbia. She grew up in a small town called New Denver. Her parents, Brian and Lele, and siblings, Arshawn, Asali, and Sanjar. I think I got those. She was obedient, competitive, and type A, the kind of kid who made a to-do list before she could tie her shoes. If you were looking for red flags of future success, she was a walking ICD-10 code for it. Even as a teenager, she had 2 goals: be a doctor, be a mom. Not an actor, not an astronaut, not an influencer, a mom and a doctor. At age 2, her brother tried to unsister her by tipping over the stroller, but she held herself up with one hand against a wall and screamed like a mini Viking. That's when the diagnosis was clear: superhuman tendencies, possibly indestructible. In high school, she played every sport possible: volleyball, soccer, track, and if the team didn't exist, she created one. UBC worked on recruiting her for volleyball. She declined. She got a degree in genetics and cell biology and briefly flirted with the idea of getting an MBA. Then she took a spontaneous trip with a friend who ended up hospitalized. She became her medical advocate, and the course of her life changed. It was time to become a doctor. She applied to med school and took the first school that said yes. No backup plan, no fear, just vibes. She landed in Grenada at St. George's University, where the unspoken motto seemed to be, "We don't only teach you medicine, we see who survives." There's a story where Darya boarded a bus holding a shake, and by the time she reached campus, the shake had exploded across her bag, her clothes, and her morning optimism. But because if you miss class, you fail, she just walked in like a fruit-soaked warrior. Even Zofran couldn't save her on that morning. Next section, severe complications. She made it through Grenada with grit and ingenuity, then moved to the West Coast for clinicals. But 4th year hit like a truck, literally. On the first day of rotations in Pocatello, she got T-boned in a car accident and concussed. She also unfortunately lost several loved ones that year, and yet she kept going, concussed, grieving, still showing up for patients like a zombie with a stethoscope and no off switch. One of her worst stretches came during one particularly bad stretch in residency. Out of luck, her schedule hit her with nights to OB, back to nights, then straight into medicine. During this span, she averaged 2 to 3 hours of night for 4 or 5 months. She was a single mom, hardworking physician, and resident. She said at times she literally felt like she was sinking. I would argue she wasn't sinking. She was deep in the hyperemesis curve of life, grateful for every bit of help and support she received, but still fighting like she was her own normal saline bolus. Adjunct therapies. To survive it all, Darya made study forts, talked to herself so much her classmates considered a psych eval. She ate raw onions like apples. That is how you find out who your real friends are. She built her own internal protocol for resilience, and it worked. Her sister remembers Darya showing up at a post-hockey game riot in Vancouver, not to riot, to stop people from rioting. She calmly walked into the chaos like a Canadian Batman, telling people to stop flipping over cars, then in true Canadian fashion, thanking them for their time. She also once saved her sister from freezing in a snowstorm, getting them both home when conditions said otherwise. And of course, I can't miss this story. In the words of Darya's sister, these are her words, not mine, We were out once, and this guy and his girlfriend had this request. Apparently, he was really into lower body trauma. I couldn't do it, she tells me. I mean, I value the human life too much, but Darya, she was like, yeah, I got this. With the calm professionalism of someone checking reflexes, she delivered 3 or 4 well-placed strikes to his family jewels. I'm cringing, she's focused, he's thrilled. It was honestly one of the weirdest, funniest things I've ever witnessed. And that, my friends, is what separates an average resident from a legend. Her technique was clinical, her accuracy was unmatched. That may not be in any medical journals, but it's now a documented case. Breakthroughs. Despite all of this, Darya became a kind doctor every patient hopes to meet. One patient, a classic white coat dodger, saw her reluctantly. On the first visit, she diagnosed severe aortic stenosis by auscultation and got the echo. She earned his trust, caught an abdominal aortic aneurysm as well, and now he sees her regularly. Why? Because she listens, because she's sharp, because when you've walked through fire, you treat people differently. She's now moving back to Vancouver to practice rural medicine, outpatient urgent care, possibly some ER and sports medicine too. She plans to work 3/4 time and spend real time being the best mom to Zoya. She thinks about sports medicine fellowship in her future, and she's already done as many interviews as people do in a lifetime. Her goals have always been the same, and she has excelled at them both. She's also looking forward to good sushi, someday owning a car with working air conditioning and new running shoes, and no longer living like a sleep-deprived family resident trapped in a chaotic, endless experiment. So for our discharge summary, Darya is no longer vomiting, thank goodness. And what she endured in pregnancy and med school and residency and life wasn't just physical, it was chaos, grief, sleep deprivation, and exhaustion wrapped in perseverance. A quote she loves says, "A soldier is no good general until he has been in the front of the fiercest battle and received the deepest wounds." She has. And now she leads with empathy and grit. She's tough, hilarious, brilliant, and fiercely competent. Darya, this isn't the end of your journey. This is just your transition of care. You survived hyperemesis, residency, riots, and more obstacles than most could imagine. You've done it all, and you've done it while raising Zoya, making your family proud and leaving every one of us better for knowing you. Congratulations, Dr. Skrenes.
I'll try to keep this, I'm going to keep this really brief. I felt a very strong desire to get up here and say it has been a very hard journey, and going through residency is very difficult, as many of you know. And then doing it as a single mom has been hardest. But I will say that it wasn't me who did this. It is dozens and dozens and 100 people who have supported me in so many different ways. And, oh God. Yeah, can you? And it goes, okay, I got her. It goes everywhere from my parents who've come here to take care of Zoya by themselves while I've been working in residency and doing those long shifts. And they have been incredibly supportive. Zoya, give that to me. And then in addition to that, I've got incredibly supportive friends back home that have done so much for me. And I want to say, you know, hugely, this residency has got to be one of the best residencies in the States, like in the world. Not only is there incredible learning that goes on here and so much autonomy mixed with it's a perfect combination of autonomy and patient safety. that we learn so much here. And above all, every single faculty member here is just incredibly intelligent, kind, thoughtful, empathetic, and you're so humorous, all of you. Dr. Mickelson has got to be one of the best program directors out there, and you have been so kind to me. And my colleagues in my class and the classes before me and after me, you have helped me to get through this, and I appreciate you all so much. And it's not just the faculty, but the residency. Sarah worked with my schedule so beautifully. Casey, Caitlin, every single one of you and all of the nurses are just outrageously amazing, and I just appreciate you guys so much.
That was really sweet, and it's unfortunate that that had to precede me. For those of you who don't know me, hold on a second, my spacing's all off. Okay. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Philip Vandergreen. Sheldon actually asked me to write his speech, to do his speech at his white coat ceremony at the beginning of residency, after I gave actually my first graduate roast. And yeah, it was a roast. I wasn't exactly kind to Marcos then, so I could tell already then that he had the type of self-punishment attitude that it takes to get through residency. So I agreed. And now it's time, Sheldon. Welcome to the show, Golden Boy. Sheldon Wernick was born January 29, 1982, with a chiseled abs and a defined jawline. His parents said that from day one, he has brought joy to this family because he's perfect. As a boy, he loved driving matchbox cars on the living room table for hours. His love of driving machines lived on through his passion for snowmobiling in Wyoming, and it's a sport that he and his dad continue to enjoy together. I think that driving matchbox cars also influenced his first career choice as a police officer. I can only imagine him as a boy drifting those cars in a police chase across the table. He probably found out later, though, that being a police officer isn't as glorious as he imagined, and so he ditched it and went to med school, the most glorious profession ever. Welcome. In middle school, he fell in love with soccer, and guess what? He was good. He was quite good at soccer. They traveled all over with soccer and made a lot of great family memories. Sheldon, as a soccer dad myself, I know how much time and money your parents spent on you. And so if you really want to be the golden boy that I'm deeming you right now, then you'll repay them for their time and their time, okay? You'll repay them for their time now that you're making a good wage. Middle school through high school, Sheldon stayed focused, and he was loved by everyone, his mom says, of course. He moved to Star Valley, Wyoming in high school, and his parents wondered how the change would be for him at that age. But not surprisingly, he shined and played on the football team and fit right in. Some people. And I bet you were homecoming king, too? What? You should have lied about that one. He was loved, okay? Sheldon then attended University of Wyoming and graduated in 2005. He went on to the police academy and was a police officer in Cheyenne for 5 years. As a police officer, he was introduced to the medical field in a different way, and often the less glamorous side, as he accompanied patrons to the emergency department. One night, he was trying to help an intoxicated citizen to safety as he accompanied him to the ER, and his whole life's trajectory changed. This chronic alcoholic with esophageal varices started vomiting copious amounts of blood. He vomited blood all over Sheldon's uniform, and the ER physician was so disgusted he passed out. Sheldon, of course, being who he is, sprung into action, ripped off his soiled shirt, showing those just chiseled abs and that fine physique, and yelled at ER doc, "Get it together, man. Someone get this lightweight a cot and get him out of the way. I'm in charge now." This is all Sheldon, all his talking. "I'm in charge now. Give me 2 large bore IVs. Let's get some fluid and blood going, people. Let's go." And everyone just sort of was startled, staring at this shirtless Greek god of a cop doctor. They were startled and unsure. But then Sheldon adjusted his Cool Hand Luke sort of cop glasses, stained in blood, shirtless, again, right, glistening. Adjusted those, lit a cigarette, because he was smoking then. He lit a cigarette and yelled, "Yippee-ki-yay, mother beepers. Come on, up to it. We're the only chance this man has." Everyone listened, did everything he said, everything Sheldon commanded, and the man lived. That's incredible, an incredible first introduction to medicine. That day, Sheldon actually dialed up Mel Gibson. Danny Glover told him that he was getting too old for this cop life and decided to go into med school. It's a true story. Every last word of it happened. Just ask him about it. Well, from there, he got his prerequisites for medical school, went to St. George University, a medical school in Grenada. Grenada? Sure, yeah. Yeah, okay. From 2018 to 2022. Around that time, he was finishing med school and starting residency, and he met Suzanne, and his life changed again. Pretty much every break Sheldon would get from residency, he'd visit Susie and her son, Valentino, in California. Not only had Sheldon found the love of his life, but he gained a best friend with Valentino as well. When visiting them after a particularly stressful block, Susie mentioned, she shared that while he was having one of his bro times drawing with Val, he actually said out loud that maybe he should just ditch being a doctor and become an artist instead. And hold on, I'll come back to these. Here's some bro time. More bro time. But I'll let you be the judge. I was actually able to procure some of Sheldon's artwork. And honestly, I was hoping that I had found a flaw in this golden boy, Greek god, chiseled cop doctor physique. But for crying out loud, they're actually not that bad, Sheldon. I was going to this was the part where I would arrogantly scoff and be like, "Yeah, stick with your day job, stick with medicine." But he might have actually had a legitimate shot. I call this one the dignified rooster. And I think he really could have done it. I mean, he is the perfect man. He's the perfect man. He's the Renaissance man, artist, cop, honorable. Anyway, the perfection continues. I mean, sure, Sheldon's great as a buddy and a stepdad to Val. But Suzanne goes on to say that Sheldon's not just great with Valentino. He's a hit with all the kids on the block. Whenever he's around, you could bet that the kids would be buzzing about playing catch with him for hours. They were always asking when he'd be back. And actually, I witnessed this firsthand myself at one of the retreats when he hung out with my kids. And I'm pretty sure that, that my kids at that time would have rather had him as their dad. It seemed pretty evident. And heck, you know, I wouldn't even be mad if my wife left me for Sheldon. I mean, I'd probably just shake my head and sort of say, yeah, it kind of makes sense. He's the perfect man. I get it. I purposely did not show my wife this speech so that she wouldn't make me take that part out. So don't tell her, please. Sheldon also loves to fly fish, and guess what? He even ties his own flies. Of course he does. He ties his own flies. Well, Sheldon, it looks like you're going to be able to continue to fly fish and pass time that way, as I just did a quick Google search and found that there's some great fly fishing locations near your future practice in Hot Springs, South Dakota. There he'll be working in a critical access ER and an outpatient clinic there. And all joking aside, Sheldon, Hot Springs is lucky to be getting a dedicated, hardworking, chiseled, former cop, doctor that really cares about his patients. I was impressed this past year and a half that where Sheldon really invested in his future patients. He identified, I think, areas on his own where he knew he had to grow or just had deficits, and he independently sought out CME opportunities and outside of residency, sought them out in order to strengthen his abilities to get to bolster his knowledge. And that's impressive. And that sort of dedication, that desire to be the best doctor that you can for your patients is exactly what it takes to be a successful doctor in a rural area. Sheldon's mom had this message for him. Sheldon is definitely not afraid of hard work, and he gave his all to become a doctor. All the sleepless nights, all the holidays away from family, your dad and mom are so very proud of you and love you very much. In preparing for this, I gathered stories from Sheldon's mom and from Susie, and I actually told Susie and exchanged some of the stories because they were all good. They're all really good stories. But I told her, you know, you've got a good one. On the exterior, you might kind of think Sheldon's sort of a BA tough guy, but he's so nice. He's got a wonderful heart. And I really mean that, Sheldon. You are a great guy. You've got a wonderful heart. You're very kind. You're a hard worker. You have a drive to succeed, and that's wonderful. And that will make you, and you will be a great doctor. So, Sheldon, congratulations.
I didn't know that when I came here that Dr. Vandergreen was a really good sports med doc, but he's also a roast master general. So I waited 3 years for that, thank you. There's many reasons why this program is really, really good, and I'm lucky to be here. We have a medical director that'll move mountains for you if you want to do something. And as you've seen by all the speakers before us, we're surrounded by a lot of people who are really good people, and they just make you want to be better. And the challenge is to continue that, to strive for that. Afterwards, thank you to my parents, my fiance Susie, my best little buddy Valentino, keeps my throwing arm in check. Yeah, and thank you to all the faculty. Appreciate it.
So last but not least, we are pleased to present to you Andrew Baker, who is our graduate from the Rural Training Program in Rexburg this year. For those of you who may have attended one of these ceremonies before, you can be happy to know that Dr. Gillette has pre-recorded his talk, and it is 5 minutes and 23 seconds long, because he is prone to ramble. But the report is that he greatly enjoyed preparing this presentation for you, Andrew.
Well, it's getting to be that time of year again, right, boys? Yeah. I got another story for you.
As most of us know, a good story has truth and embellishment interwoven to create a more interesting tapestry. So we begin. Andrew Baker was born as the 7th of 8 children to Ralph and Shirley Baker. Rumor has it the Bakers had planned to call it quits after 7, but as an infant, Andrew wasn't exactly the looker he is today. So they decided to have one more so as to not end on such a sour note. Andrew, your younger sibling, thanks you for your meager beginnings. As you can see, Andrew has now grown into a striking young lad. As a child, Andrew was artistic and talented. He loved to draw. Here's a drawing when he was only 3 years old. He showed a lot of artistic promise. However, he seemed to peak at an early age. Here's a picture he did for his senior project in high school. By that time, his family pretty much knew he should go into something different for a career. At least then he wouldn't be competing at the same talent level as Hunter Biden. In high school, Andrew was involved in lots of different activities, including orchestra, choir, tennis, and was in a couple of plays, including where he played the roles of the preacher in Footloose and one of the brothers in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Andrew attended Pocatello High School and was an excellent student. He graduated with a 4.1 GPA. Apparently, they must have tossed out the art grade, I guess. After high school, he served a church mission to Argentina. There he learned a lot about himself and to serve other people. His Spanish skills would come in handy later on as a medical student and as a resident. Interesting fact, Andrew met the love of his life while wearing a diaper. I'll let you ask him about that. Wearing diapers is not the typical dating scene, but it worked out for them, I guess. However, Emma does say that it was his dimples that really drew her in. They ended up marrying in Idaho Falls in December of 2012. Emma was a chemistry major at BYU, Idaho. She says, quote, "He wanted the same things I wanted, and he is very dedicated to God and family. He was so good and kind to his mom and sisters that I knew he would treat me well." At BYU, Idaho, Andrew was involved in several activities, including choir, chemistry club, chemistry research, and tutoring. He became interested in medicine while studying biochemistry, but Emma says he really wanted to become a doctor because, quote, "he's nosy and he likes to tell people what to do," unquote. Welcome to the club, Andrew. In medical school in West Virginia, Andrew was able to use his Spanish skills from his mission. Andrew matched with us for residency in the Rexburg rural tract. And I think the reason he really matched with us was because of his smile, to be honest. He really endeared himself to the staff and the people in the office. And we knew what we were getting with Andrew, that he was happy, he wore his heart on his sleeve, and he was honest. And we really appreciated that, and so did the patients in the office. According to Emma, Andrew's spirit animal is a sloth. No, seriously. She says he would pick a sloth because he can fall asleep anywhere and at any time of the day. Andrew made it through his entire medical training without a single milligram of caffeine. Residency was not easy for Andrew like it isn't for any of the rest of us. And while we are all here today to celebrate the graduation of these excellent residents, the thing that really stands out about Andrew has very little to do with medicine. It's actually his family. Andrew loves spending time with his family. He's frequently doing some kind of project that involves helping family members in whatever they need. He loves singing, he loves playing music and singing music, When asked who his hero is, Andrew says it's President Russell M. Nelson. What a great hero. When asked about his greatest weakness, Emma said, quote, "Sometimes he can be a bit OCD." Andrew literally read all of the terms and conditions of his DEA license. That's probably why it took us several months to get it through. I didn't know that, but I know that now. Emma, keep him away from anything with fine print, please. He loves to play the piano. He loves to be prepared and is very serious about providing for and protecting his family. He loves making salsa and freeze-drying fruit. So what's in store for the Andrew Baker family? Well, if you would have asked Andrew a couple of months ago, he would have said he was excited to be opening up a clinic in Utah. The job sounded perfect. He had turned down other potential offers for this one and had put money down on a home. But all that came crashing down and threw the Bakers into disarray when, after they had already began their transition, the rug was pulled out from underneath them. True to form, Andrew and the Bakers rolled valiantly with the punches. New opportunities emerged, and they are excited to be taking a job at BYU Idaho in Rexburg. We are excited to have Andrew and his family continue in Rexburg. We know he will be a great and tremendous asset to the community. Andrew, congratulations on your graduation. And just like your theme song, it's gonna be okay.
Well, thankfully, I'm the last one. Thank you everyone for coming. I really wanted to just thank everyone. Residency obviously can be residency, medical school, everything. It doesn't matter what stage of life you are. We all need support and help, and I'm so grateful for all of you, for the residency program itself. Obviously, I wasn't with you guys very much, but being around you has been awesome. I really am very blessed to have come to ISU for training, and very grateful for the people that we get to surround ourselves. I'm very grateful for my family. If you haven't already noticed, I love you guys. You guys are the best, and I would never be able to do anything without you. You support me in everything. You take on a lot of extra responsibilities, and you help me through the times when I wouldn't be able to get through alone. So without further ado, please, I guess, clap for everyone. Everyone has been support to one person or another, but also for my family. Emma threatened she did not want to come up here, so I will bring flowers down to you.
Thank you so much for coming, everybody. It's been an amazing evening. Graduates, we are super excited to hear about the thousands and thousands of lives that you are going to improve in all the different communities. So thank you. It's been a pleasure. Have a great night, everyone.